never gonna let we can't falter in the battle. We're tried and true. Indiana, we're all for you.
Welcome to the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show on the Gruely True Sports Network. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, with my other host, 1981 national champion Steve Risley. And Riz, after doing 35 shows, of course, a guy was hired that we didn't bring up until yesterday's show, and that was Darian Devries, the head basketball coach, formerly at West Virginia, now the 31st head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. What are your first thoughts when you look at it?
Not surprised, but surprised. I mean, I think I said the last thing I said on our show yesterday was they're going to hire somebody we never even talked about in terms of.
Well, we did talk about him yesterday, so
yeah, yesterday, but not until then. Yesterday, I like what I've read so far. I like what I see so far. I think he comes with a good track record. He's not quite as accomplished as, say, some of the bigger names, but he's won everywhere he goes. He's got a 70% win clip in his college head coaching career. He's got, 8 years of head coaching experience in college. He's got a lot of the qualities I think we would look for. He seems to be a no-nonsense guy that we'll delve into a lot of things. Overall, lately the coaching situation in Indiana is a crapshoot. We don't know. We thought Scotty Miller would be a great coach. We thought Tom Crean would be the end of it all. We look at guys like who's the guy that's coaching Houston now? I can't.
Kellen Sampson.
Kellen Sampson. Probably a guy we shouldn't have let go.
I think Kellen Sampson disagrees, so I'll disagree.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, Kelvin's happy as hell where he's at.
Kelvin said that he had a lot of issues with himself at that point that he had to work out, and getting fired was probably the best thing that could have happened.
All right, but
so I am just going to digress and go with what he says there.
All right. In terms of Darian DeVries, positive. I like what I see. It's kind of a little bit of a throwback we'll dive into. Let's just get into what we know about him so far. Not a lot.
I mean, his teams are hard-nosed. They're physical. They play defense. His teams have never ranked below 155th in defensive efficiency. It was, and at West Virginia, they ranked 15th in adjusted defense this year. And that was a team where they lost his son, Tucker DeVries, and their second best player also. The defense, though, kept them in, and I think everybody believes that they deserve to be in the tournament. His teams are particularly good at running teams off the three-point line. West Virginia ranked 9th nationally in three-point defense. Teams only shot 29.7% from three-point range against them. Offensively, Steve, you want to talk a little bit about what he brings?
He brings a down tempo to the game. He's very methodic about how he runs his offense. He likes to run a lot of set plays. And then on the second or third go-around, deviate from those plays and let players free it up a little bit. But he likes to go through his sets, which is discipline, which is, he likes to take time on offense. And what that does is that wears defenses down, and it allows defenses to make mistakes. If you get really good at running a set offense, you can run your plays and stick to them and run them correctly, set good screens, make the right cuts, and you'll wear a defense down, first off, because it's hard to be intense and guard for that length of a period of time. And secondly, they'll eventually make a mistake, and you'll end up with a good backdoor play. He doesn't take a lot of three-point shots. He's not a team built around the three-point shot, but they have a very high efficiency when they shoot the three. I think you've got the percentages on that, and we talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, they're shooting close to 40% from three-point range.
Yeah, so but he doesn't waste time. He seems to be a coach you'd rather methodically work the ball into the paint, get us 3 points on a layup or backdoor cut and a foul, as opposed to a 22-foot jump shot. And I like that. I mean, that's old school basketball. And I'm not saying old school is the way to go. I just I just think there's less opportunity for mistakes there and more opportunity to create weaknesses in defenses and exploit weaknesses in defenses. Size does not seem to be a big matter as to how he runs his offense because he runs a very set offensive structure. It's interchangeable. Players can go anywhere they need to. But he's going to use all of the 30-second shot clock that they get in college, I think, most of the times down the court. And don't look for a three to be their first option. Look for it to be a kick-out three, probably more likely than a play set up to open up your offense with a three. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. So far, what I've been able to glean from this guy offensively, that's what I know. Anything you want to add, Mike?
I just like the history of him too, and where he's been. When you look at his career, he was only assistant at one place. That was 2001 to 2018. He entered as an assistant for Greg McDermott right after the departure of Dana Altman, and he was there for 17 years under one of the best coaches in college basketball, I think, at McDermott. And he left in March of 2018 to take the job at Drake. And DeVries helped the Bulldogs program start the season 9-2. They ended up winning more than 20 games. And this accomplishment came after inheriting the second fewest returning letter winners in the nation. All right. And that year in 2019, he won the Hugh Durham Award for the Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year. He's a two-time MVC Coach of the Year, National Association of Basketball Coaches Coach of the Year, East District Coach of the Year in 2025, whatever the hell that is. But the other thing about him, you can tell his teams are tough because there was a dude by the name of Nick Norton who was the best player for Drake. This was a few years in, and he got hurt. And a lot of people in that 19 season thought the team was dead, and they ended up winning 5 of their next 6 games. And that's what won him the Coach of the Year in 18-19 in the Missouri Valley Conference. His teams have a history of when people get hurt, other guys step up. And that, to me, is a huge culture thing, if you know what I mean. It doesn't matter who's on the court. The name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back. And I think he is a guy that we saw built culture at Drake. And he learned to build culture at Drake by working with Greg McDermott, the Creighton coach, who's one of the best coaches in the country. So I think what you've got here, unlike Archie Miller, you have a guy that was a longtime assistant to a very good coach. Unlike Archie Miller, he won as soon as he got to Drake and turned it around. Dayton had a couple losing seasons before Archie had the one miracle Elite Eight season. So the people that are saying that Darian Devries is Archie 2.0 are absolute idiots. And there's a lot of those people out there right now. I know we did a poll on Twitter, on our Twitter page at Grilling Truth, or our X page at Grilling Truth. And the last time I checked it, 78% of the people like this hire. I think Darian Devries, the only guy, for a short-term turnaround, Steve, the other thing is this. You're going to get his son Tucker, who's going to be one of the 10 best players in the country. He already won the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, I think 3 years in a row. And he got hurt early on in the season. And this is a team, if you remember how bad Indiana looked against Gonzaga and Louisville, West Virginia was the team that beat each one of those after they bludgeoned us. You know, he had a game against Arizona where he had like 26 points, 8 or 9 rebounds, 7 or 8 assists. So if you want to win right away, you're probably going to get his son. And also, they had like the 20th or 22nd high school recruiting class in the country last year. So you're probably going to get a few more of those guys also. Robert says, yo, from Vero. How you doing, Robert? Robert, what do you think of the hire? I already know because Robert already told me. So
I'll add to this, too, in terms of building a team on a quick short notice like this. And you and I talked in the production meeting about, is it a good time for Indiana to just scrap everybody they got right now and go from scratch? And, we know what Renew is left, you said.
Renew is gone. Last night,
Renew's gone. Balo's gone. Galloway is gone.
They're all graduated. Leal's graduated.
Is Leal gone too?
Yeah, Leal's gone unless he gets a 10th year.
So there's a shot at keeping Goody. I'll take Goody.
I don't.
I know you want. We have a disagreement there.
He's got to go.
I think Goody gives you a 3-point weapon that is nice to have on your team.
Put it
Now,
like this: when DeVries interviews him, talks to him, if
Yeah.
DeVries thinks he fits, I'm all right with that. But I'm saying this is a losing program, and if you want to change it, you have to change it completely. You got to gut it.
Okay, we were a little disagreement on that. I don't think you need to change the culture of the program more than anything.
The culture has to be.
I don't think you have to change every cog. I'm okay if Goody stays, but I don't even know if he can because he's asking for a 5th year.
Yeah, he may get it. Robert says I would keep Goody. I can tell you this, guys. I don't know if I'd keep Goody or not because I never talked to him. I don't know how infected he was with the lazy bullshit that we saw from Mike Woodson.
He didn't appear that way. He and
didn't
Galloway
appear
played
that
hard.
way. But you know what it did appear? It appeared that he's a very inconsistent player, and in the Big Ten tournament against Oregon,
that could be the inconsistent coaching, inconsistent offense.
Wait, you just got to make the shot, though, Steve. I mean,
I'm interrupting you.
It's all right. I'm used to it, just like you're used to me interrupting you. So we're fine.
Yeah.
But really, I think this to build culture from day one when you step on campus. You have to eliminate everything that was with the bad culture.
Okay.
Because people said Woody didn't have a culture, but he did. The problem was the culture was me.
I don't agree with that. Patton didn't shoot every soldier when he took over the Third Army. He told him this is how it's going to be in my army.
That's a little bit different because you get shot if he wants to get rid of you. So you will get in place. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like give Goody that chance.
Well,
we're fighting about Goody. Forget about it. He's one cog of 12.
He's the 8th player on a good team.
Right. He's right now. That's where he sits probably, if that high, because I'm sure that DeVries has built his own little quarry of players he wants to bring in, and not to mention Indiana is in the top 5 in nil money spent. So they have the money to spend for nil to get players in, and I think DeVries is the kind of guy who's gonna look for the player who is more concerned about the name on the front of the jersey and not be pissed off because there's no name on the back of the jersey. I don't see him as a guy who's going to walk in here and say, "I want the names on the back of their uniforms." I don't see him as that kind of coach. So, if his son comes and makes an impact and he's able to get some of the recruits he's got, if he had that good of a recruiting class, we could see Indiana turn around very quickly.
His son will make an immediate impact.
Yeah, that's good.
Not even close.
Yeah, that's good.
Have you seen his son play?
No, I have not.
Hold on. We can pull up some highlights if you want. You gotta find them. They're not too hard to find though, because he's pretty damn good. Only problem is I punched in his dad's name instead of his name, so now I got to do it again.
Scott DeVry, isn't it?
No, it's Tucker.
You're
thinking of Scott and Bryce Drew.
There you go.
Let's see. We'll take his transfer portal highlights from West Virginia. We'll blow them up. Right now, there's a Shaq commercial on, so that'll do us no good. Nobody wants to watch a Shaq.
I just watched Blue Chips last night. Neon Dion.
Well, Shaq was in it too, wasn't he?
Shaq was Neon.
Okay. I don't really remember. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Me too. I didn't watch that shit movie in a long time.
Actually, I remember the last time I watched it. I liked it more than the first time, though. So.
By the way, my beloved Dodgers are 2-0. Have already clinched a playoff spot.
No, that just means that
they've eliminated the Cubs.
Hey, you know the good thing about that is that little dumbass from Florida it's the leader of the morons. He's a Cubs fan, so his Cubs are 0-2. Screw him. All right, can you see the highlights right now?
Yeah,
that's him. He's a big dude. He can shoot the ball. He can defend.
Great. All we talk about is how they don't take the three. Now all I'm doing is watching his son shoot threes.
Well, the thing is, they don't take a lot of volume of threes, but they make a high
3 for 3.
Yeah,
all I see the highlights is Tucker.
Well, there, he just made a layup.
3 pointers.
But he's a big, strong dude, and he can play.
God,
that's another 3.
That's funny.
Well, I mean, that'll tell you this. Look, he can dunk. He's white. That was a dunk, Steve.
That was a dunk
for a white guy. That's pretty, ooh. Look at that. He looks like Caitlin Clark. Damn, we could play with the line back past the NBA line.
It
We'd
looks
be all
like
right.
Jerry West, who went to West Virginia.
Yes, he does. And that was the 3-time Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Not Jerry West, of course, but Tucker DeVries.
All
So,
right, that's enough. All I've seen this kid do is shoot threes.
well, I mean, what do you want?
Mike, this just goes to show we have no freaking idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, we do, because this kid can shoot and he can take it to the hole.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, if he shoots like that, we don't have much need for Luke Goody.
Well, that's kind of why we don't need to have a big need for Luke Goody unless Luke wants to look at that. I mean, see, the great thing about it, he can do it coming off the screen, look a little like Steve Alford, only bigger and more athletic. So,
Yeah.
And remember, he only played a few games this year.
Well, I think we've seen every 3-pointer he's taken.
That's more 3-pointers than IU made the entire season. We've just watched in 3 minutes, I think.
All right. I like looking at myself better than this.
Oh, I don't, because you can't make threes.
Saved my career, no 3-point lines.
Look at that. He got a rebound, too, and he scored. That's better than anybody we got, too. All right, we'll stop sharing now, but I love watching Tucker DeVries. And
I like what I see. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's the kind of guy where he was described in an article in the Bloomington Herald Telephone as a guy that walks into a steakhouse, and when they show up with a steak, usually got this big sizzling steak and this big slab of butter on top of it or something like that. And his mentality is, I want the steak. I don't need all the trimmings around it. I'm a no-nonsense guy. Just give me a good piece of meat, and I'll enjoy that. So, which tells me that he's not a flashy guy. He doesn't. I don't think we can really compare him to Signotti, because Signotti is kind of a flashy guy. Although he's a get dirty with the team coach, but Signotti likes to politic too and talk.
The great thing to me right now is Malik Renew's ass is out of here. I was so tired of only watching him be able to use one hand.
I don't wish anybody out of there, because Indiana is such a great place to play basketball.
It's not right
now. It's such a great family to be a part of. I wish that Malik had been able to play in a different environment. I wish he'd been able to play in my environment.
He wouldn't have made it.
It would have been entirely different for.
He wouldn't have made it.
We don't know that.
Yeah,
we don't know that.
Robert Goody is a 3. Tucker is a 2. Tucker is a 2 or a 3. I mean, they even at Drake would post him up as a 4 and he would score points. So he's a big dude. You saw the body. He's not a 6'1" or 6'2".
What Tucker is, Tucker's the scorer. He can score from anywhere.
Yes, he can score from anywhere.
Anyway, he's a scorer.
He can rebound, and he plays defense, and he's a superior passer.
He's like a Mike Woodson in my day. Mike can score from anywhere.
He's better than Mike Woodson. He's got a better jumper. Mike Woodson wasn't draining him from 35 feet, Steve. I would say Woody was better in the post. Though.
Well, but that's a lot to do with how the offense that we ran, too. It wasn't designed to shoot 35-footers.
Well, no offense was back then, because 35-footer was still 2 points.
Yeah.
So
our offense was designed around punching the ball inside and playing an inside game.
Let's just be glad we're not doing this show and bitching because Brad Brownell is the head basketball coach at IU.
He's not.
I know. Just be glad of that, because that would have been horrific, I think.
So the Rise has what? Really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of head coaching experience. You okay with that?
I'm fine with that. Hell, he's been a head coach. He's been to the tournament. He won a tournament game, and he did it at Drake, if you know what I mean.
All right, and he's won. He's put 3 teams into the tournament so far.
Yeah, and with Drake, that means he won the conference tournament. Which
I think the thing I like about it is he's got an overall winning percentage of 71%? 71.3%.
Yeah, because if you look at his seasons at Drake, his first year 24-10, and he had to replace almost everybody, and there was no NIL. 20, he was 20-14, but of course the postseason was canceled. In 21, 26-5, NCAA tournament. 22 at Drake, 25-11 CBI quarterfinals, because he's at Drake. And he didn't win the conference tournament. 2023 and 2024, 27-8, 28-7, won the conference tournament, went to the NCAA tournament. In West Virginia, 19-13 this year. And most of that was without his two best players. And most people, I think, believe, no matter what you saw last night, West Virginia deserved to be in the tournament off of resume. But North Carolina showed you last night, they beat Indiana by 100 points.
Yeah, North Carolina, and well, sidebar, we'll save that for the end. Let's say I'm going to write down North Carolina to talk about at the end. Did you see that the AD for NC, who recused himself, but because of everything involved, he's going to get $105,000 for
but
being
he was
chairman.
not involved in the decision, Steve. Wink, wink.
Well, he's going to get $105,000 for being on the men's selection committee.
There is nothing that I would ever think that the NCAA would be illegitimate or cheating. I mean, the NCAA has a long history of being on nothing but the up and up, Steve.
I tell you what, the NCAA must have
Anybody
money.
that's just listening on iHeartRadio or something, I was smiling while I said that.
The NCAA must have money out the yin yang.
They don't. But the people that control the NCAA deal, and the NCAA won't even exist in a few more years.
Well, who's getting the money for the dance? NCAA.
The teams in the conferences. The NCAA is not what they used to be. There's not a lot of footing there for the NCAA anymore.
Well, what's their purpose anymore now that there's no cheating in college basketball anymore?
Their purpose is to take the abuse, which is what they're doing right now. But they're still getting paid well to take the abuse. But I still think in the end, the NCAA will dissolve.
All right. So to DeVry, to Darian,
come on.
Damian. I gotta.
Don't say Damian. Then he's like the Yeoman. We probably
Yeoman. Yeah. Any weakness you see in him? I mean, is he gonna step in and be able to coach with the big boys in the Big Ten?
He's already coached with the big boys.
Okay.
The Big 12, he was 19-13. I don't know that there's a big difference between the two. And the Big 12's won a lot more national championships recently.
What do you see as a weakness for him if you're going to pick one out?
The weakness I would worry about would be the offense a little bit.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it's just there's no doubt the man can coach, which we had doubts about the last five guys, whether they could even coach or not. So as long as he can recruit and get the players in here, I think his first year will be spectacular because his son's coming, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you. I think
Robert's got a good one. He said he had to split that bonus with the rest of the committee.
No, they all got money too. He just got the most money.
That's what he said. They split the money with him, though. He had to give it to him so they could give him the $105,000.
Okay. All right. I'm if I have any one concern at all, it's the fact that he runs a very slow tempo offense, and it's a methodical offense. The game is not played that way that much anymore, but if he's good at what he does,
Michigan won the Big Ten championship that way.
I don't think they played more of enough. They played enough up tempo.
They won 57-53 in the championship games.
Well,
and they slowed Wisconsin down. And I will say this. Yeah. People can say that about a methodical offense, but it's much easier to slow a game down than it is.
No, I'm trying to find fault in him is all, okay? I'm not saying it's.
I know, but I mean, I actually like that. I mean, to me, that breeds more of a we factor than a me factor.
We were methodical as could be. Even with Isaiah, we were methodical.
Except every once in a while, Isaiah just take off on himself, score 10 straight points, and then let you guys play again.
Then we love that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Larry Bird used to do too.
I've got a nice big ring to tell you why that was good.
You ought to have the university buy you new rings.
Why?
With the diamonds and stuff.
I'm just thrilled I get the opportunity to go pay for a ticket to sit next to the band. I did get a nice note from Scott Dawson this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Show us.
I don't know how to do that.
Hold it up.
It's on my email.
Oh, okay.
So
what did he say?
Just he looks forward to getting all the players together to meet coach, and he wants our involvement and wants us to feel welcome back there. I get that crap every year that I get stuck next to the band when I go to a game.
You haven't been to the game in how many years?
10, 12.
Well, you don't know if you'd be by the band or not anymore.
Yeah, maybe up in the
Now that
balcony.
you do this show, they may just make you sit outside in the parking lot.
Maybe in the balcony.
That would be my fault, probably more than yours. But
Well, you know what? There's back when I was playing, you didn't have much TV, and now we've got every game on nice high def TV.
well, dude, I remember I live in southeastern Indiana. You couldn't get Channel 4. The
Yeah.
only time we would get IU games is if the game was shown.
National televised game.
We didn't have ESPN either. So if we got a game, it was an NBC Saturday afternoon game.
Or CBS. Yeah, NBC or CBS. Yeah.
Yeah, NBC or CBS. And
There was
then a
no
little
Fox
later
back
on,
then either.
ABC. No, there was no Fox until the late 80s.
So we got a thumbs up for this coach?
I think we got a thumbs up for this coach.
Was he? I mean, he was a hire that we didn't earmark, but
Hey, Robert asked where your ring is if you want to show it.
it's right here.
See, Robert? Hold it up a little higher, Steve. A little higher. There you go.
There she sits. Stays close to me.
Well, that's because somebody might ask you to see it on the show.
It stays close to me where it belongs in its trophy case.
Well, actually, you took it out, though. So you
Yeah,
don't want to
well,
get it dusty, Steve. Hopefully there'll be
the
somebody in this century that will someday be able to hold that up on a show and say,
we need to talk about with that.
it would be kind of amazing to, on a Monday morning, do an IU preview show for a national championship game.
That'd be good. I hope that day comes sooner than later.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I'm kind of overweighting on it. But maybe this guy can do it. The other guys couldn't do it. And like I said, there's been 31 coaches. 3 of them were successful.
Yeah.
That's scary when you think about it.
Yeah.
Everett Dean, Branch McCracken, Bobby Knight, and 27 other guys.
Yeah, I saw where Patino gave a big endorsement to Barnes.
The Barnes.
Now, who's the coach?
You mean DeVries?
No, not DeVries. The guy that was in Beard Barnes.
Yeah,
Beard.
I actually would rather have DeVries than Beard. There's just something about Beard. And I think Beard, you might as well talk about North Carolina now because Beard gets to play North Carolina in the next round, I think, on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm happy with the hire. I gotta wait and see who he brings in from his recruiting class, how he can rebuild this team. It sounds like he's pretty much gonna have to rebuild it from scratch.
Dude, as long as Tucker comes with him, that's 20 wins right there.
Yeah, well, I can't see Tucker not coming with him to have a chance to go play at Indiana for a year even.
I think it's more to play for his dad, Steve. But
well, I don't.
Well, he went all the way to West Virginia to play for his dad. So
that's his dad.
And he went to Drake to play for his dad, too.
That's his dad. Indiana
Tucker was a 4 or 5-star that could have went anywhere. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he cares about that. He's coming to play for his dad.
Who cares?
We need other people to come play for IU.
Right. We need other people to compliment him to get along. And we got to hopefully get some players in the transfer portal that will make some immediate impact and will adapt to his coaching style. Hopefully he's smart enough to recruit people that fit his culture and not just bring people in that are going
to win in a place like Drake more than 20 games every year. You realize that because in a place like Drake, you have to do that. If you know what I mean, if you want to win, because you're not going to get a bunch of 5-stars like Umar Ballo.
Well, High Point did okay.
High Point has not done anything yet except make the tournament in a bad conference. Purdue's still going to smack them by double figures.
We'll see.
Yes, we will, Steve.
We'll see. Anyway, all right. North Carolina, in my opinion, if they did anything last night, they validated themselves being in the tournament.
I don't think they did. I think they validated that they are a good enough team and are talented enough to probably go to the Sweet 16. But it doesn't change the 1-12 quad wins compared to West Virginia's 6 or 7 quad 1 wins.
To me, what it changes is the stupidity of the selection process, not the fact that North Carolina belonged there.
Well,
the way they put emphasis on people's opinions and, this whole thing of ranking teams and players for the bulk part, and I know with Ken Pong, it's all statistical analysis and numbers thrown in, but that's does not. And there's a great movie called Sully about Sullenberger, the guy that landed the plane in the Hudson River.
Yeah.
And they put pilots in a simulator, and statistically, you should have been able to land that plane. Statistically, every pilot could land the plane. And then, then he says, put the human factor into it, and then see who, and they did that. They said the human factor was your people knew what was going on with that plane, and they started flipping buttons and switches the minute the engine went sour. We thought for 30 seconds and troubleshot what problems we needed to solve. Now add 30 seconds to the time before you start solving problems, and nobody could land the plane. So
or just the fact that
my
you're
point there
fly.
is just that numbers are just a part of it, and they don't take the emotion of a program like North Carolina that's got history, got tradition, got pride, and this is a salvation for them. And under the current guys, the fact that they got in West Virginia didn't get in, possibly Indiana, although I don't think Indiana was very deserving either. But certainly West Virginia is a program that should have been considered.
Actually, I don't think San Diego State belonged in either. I think
no, they were atrocious. How they did they get in as an at-large bid?
Yeah. Well, you also got to remember.
Atrocious.
You got to remember that was a Final Four team 2 years ago, and they've been good for the last 4 or 5 years.
What have you done for me lately?
I think this. I think North Carolina actually should have been in. I think the 4 teams in the play-in round should have been West Virginia, Boise State, Xavier, and North Carolina.
Yeah, Xavier didn't get in either. See, there's a good
Xavier's
program.
in.
Yeah.
Xavier's in. They play Texas tonight.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm getting confused.
I don't think Texas.
There's NIT games tonight too.
Yeah, I don't think Texas belonged in because Texas was 6-12 in conference. I think actually, if you're going to be in at large, you should have to be above 500.
No, I agree with that entirely. You should have a winning record in your conference and overall.
Because really, Steve, I would rather see UC Irvine at 27-6, who might be better than what we think, than a North Carolina or an Indiana getting in at 18-14 or 19-13.
Well, I personally think if you're going to be an at-large bid, you should have a minimum of 20 wins.
Well, I think it should just be in your conference. You should be above 500.
Above 500 in your conference and 20 wins.
Because really, if you're 10-10 in the Big Ten, you're the 10th best team, the 9th best team. What are the chances you're making a run at anything? North Carolina is a very talented team. North Carolina matches up very well with Ole Miss because
they looked good last night.
If R.J. Davis is hitting his shots, North Carolina is going to be.
Yeah, I think if they play like they did last night, North Carolina is going to bounce a couple teams out of the tournament that thought they'd do better than they were going to do, and let's going to start that with Ole Miss this Thursday or Friday.
Now, Ole Miss is well coached. They got 5 seniors basically on that team that start. But I think North Carolina athletically is better, and they are 9-2 in their last 11 games. All right, Steve, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think what we'll do is maybe early next week, let's do another show on Coach when we see what he's doing, what he's done, if he starts bringing players in. It's early to tell. We just found out about this late yesterday afternoon. There was an email from Dawson telling me that they'd made the selection. So it was on my computer, but I didn't read it. I just thought it was more IU propaganda. It
wouldn't matter without them saying who it is.
No, they did say who it was. I got 2 emails from Scott Dawson yesterday. One saying, I'm letting you guys know this is who we went with, and we'll be announcing it here shortly, but I wanted the players to know. And I got that email. Then I got one from Scott after I congratulated him on the hire. Got a nice note back from him. So feel like I may not sit next to the band next time I go to a game.
All right, Steve.
All in all, everybody, be pleased. Be pleased. I think they made a good choice. I like the makeup and moxie of this coach.
All right, we are going to go ahead. Hold on.
You have to go somewhere?
Yeah, I'm bored.
Oh. Robert Stewart.
Robert
Go
Stewart,
Reds.
Go Reds. Me and Robert are going to have to do a Reds show. That way when they beat the Dodgers in the NLCS.
Dodgers already clinched a playoff spot.
The Dodgers already clinched the World Series because they spent $5 billion and the rest of the teams can
Hey, Mike, about that money thing? You still got to get out and hit the ball and catch the ball. And
when you're doing it with the best players, it's much easier to do, Steve.
Well, you know what? You're paid what you're worth, Mike.
Baseball. That's why nobody gives a shit.
You're worth.
Hey, if you walk out and ask the general public, just 100 random people who won the World Series last year, probably 20 could tell you.
I disagree with that.
I don't, because
I see more Dodgers hats on people now than Yankees hats.
You live in LA, Steve.
No. I'm talking about nationally.
I don't see anybody anywhere near my place wearing an LA Dodgers hat. I don't. There's nobody.
No, you see mostly John Deere hats where you live.
No. We see mainly ass hats. Last year, 15 million people watched the Fall Classic, which was like a 70% increase from most World Series because it was the Dodgers and the Yankees.
Yeah.
There's 15 million people in each of those cities, probably. So
no, LA's only got about 7, and New York's only got about 7.
Yeah, so 14.
So that means everybody watched.
Everybody watched except for anybody else in the country that gets tired of that crap.
Who cares about everybody else in the country?
Well, Steve, you live in LA and nobody gives a shit about LA.
I don't give a shit about LA, but
except for when you're on fire. But,
I love my Dodgers.
All right, I'm about to wrap it up. I got my dogs barking, so I got somebody here. Follow me at Grueling Truth. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification on YouTube. Check out thegruelingtruth.com. But for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.